Hello, welcome back to the shop here at Wood Spun Round. I'm Doug, and I'm glad that you're here with me again. I have on the lathe tonight a bowl that has been started. Actually, it was started by someone else quite a while back. He turned it what he would call rough turned. I think it's a little more than rough turned. It is fairly thick still, not terribly thick, but has some thickness to the walls. We're going to clean up this bottom side, get it pretty well done, and then we'll turn it over and get the inside of the bowl done. See how this comes out. I'm not sure what he had in mind. It's been a long time. I even asked him about it. I received it from someone he gave it to, and it's been passed on to me now. So we're going to work on this and see how we do with this. Let's start out with 1,000 RPMs. Stopping. I did not know what this wood was. I had no idea. Now that I've turned it just a little bit and gotten a little bit of fresh wood exposed, I know exactly what this wood is. Not by the looks of it, but by the smell. This is camphor wood. So let's continue on. A few of you may be asking, how do I know that this is camphor wood? Do you remember the smell of Vicks Vapor Rub? The smell from that was camphor. Same thing. Smells like Vicks Vapor Rub or Camphophenique. That's another one we don't hear a lot of anymore. Either one, very distinct smell. I'm still not, I haven't gotten this completely turned out. This has still got some old wood exposed here. And it does get loud. The smell is not a, it's not a bad smell. It's a good smell, but it is loud. It does get to you if you're not careful. I have had it so fresh and so strong, I had to kick it out from underneath me. It was so strong, it was burning my eyes. Excuse me. I'm taking the time. I want the curve coming around, and I've got a reverse OG curve on the top edge, but I want this rim to have enough depth to it that I can round it over. I'm still a little thin right in this area, so I want to cut a little more off of it. Turn the tool rest so that we can be fully supported. Give it a quick spin, make sure it's clear. Now we can keep going. And we may be there. A little thin yet. I think it's okay, but it's a little thin. I'm going to cut just a little more. One more cleaning pass on this outside here, and we'll be able to reverse it. I've got my foot, it's a little, I want a foot there. This is my tendon, this is the, excuse me, the tendon, the foot, where that bark popped off right at the very beginning. It's still laying there in the floor, but there was nothing but bark. I'm going to leave that. I'm not so concerned about that, but I am going to make a smoothing pass just to clean this up, and then we'll sand it. Bit of a lump right there. A bit of a shear scrape, just very controlled. Still a lump there. It's getting better. Now we're getting somewhere. By Jove, I think we've got it. Tool rest out of the way. Slow it down just a bit. I haven't been pulling out my dust mask. I need to do that, especially since I'm not running the vac. I like to run the vacuum, but I have not been running the vacuum just because it makes so much noise you would not be able to hear a thing, even if I stopped to the lathe to talk to you. So we're going to use the inertia sander, starting with 100 grit. There we go. Want to get it pretty good at this stage. We'll have the opportunity to sand it again when we take the tenon off, but I want it pretty close to done, so I can do as little sanding as possible on the back side when we come back around to turn that tenon off. See what it looks like. It looks awful good. I see zero tear out. Everything's pretty nice and even. We'll go to 150 grit. 150. Go to 240. With that, we're good to go. Let my tool rest. Give it a spin. That does two things. It makes sure that the bowl is not going to hit the tool rest, or the tool rest hits the bowl, but it also reminds me whether or not I've unlocked my spindle. I'm bad about leaving the spindle locked when I have to do something with the chuck, and so that helps me to make sure I don't turn the lathe on with the spindle locked. Checking, make sure we're good. It sounded like we were smooth. That last couple of cuts, I've got one little place right there. I'm going to hit it one more time, very lightly. Excellent. Now we're going to go for a thin bowl all the way down the sides. I've turned this, see just where we are. Where are we? It's heavier than I was thinking. It's at 3/8. I could go thinner, but I think I'm gonna leave it like that. I didn't tell you who this originally came from. This bowl was started out. I'm gonna do one more pass just to knock that center out. It's a little high there. This bowl started out in the hands of Mark Silay. You may know that name. It's been around a long time. Great turner. Mark Silay started this bowl, so I do not want to ruin it. Pick up the cut very lightly. Just what I wanted. Perfect. Tailstock out of the way. Bring up my inertia sander. Again, we're going to start with 100 grit, but I'm going to start by hand out here on the rim. Just want to clean up this edge that I flattened out and roll the top just slightly. Get the very top edge of this. I want it to stay relatively flat. Then we'll go with the inertia sander. Take my shield off, get my mask on. Slow that speed down. I never did turn it down. None of you yelled at me. Work on that center just a little bit by hand. There is no tear out in this bowl. It was completely dry to begin with. You saw there wasn't a whole lot of turning to do with it. All I've done basically was clean up the back side and came around to the front thinned it out so it's a uniform thickness between 3/8 and an 1/8. A little thinner right there than it is right here. I could go back and thin that if I wanted to. I really don't want to. Feels good in the hand as it is. We'll leave it as it is. The whole trick with the inertia sander is that the surface of the wood itself is what turns the sander, keeps you from having those radial lines all the way around, because it causes this to spin. This is a metal shaft with a sanding mandrel. Inside of my handle is a bronze bushing. There's a magnetic bearing on the bottom of that, so it sits down there, holds it tight. It won't fall out on its own. I have to literally pull it out if I want it out. All that reminds me, well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. See what we look like here. Beautiful. Just as I suspected it would. This piece of camphor has been cut for a long, long time. And so as of right now, it looks pretty, what I would say is it looks ashen and gray. But when I want to finish this with, I think I'm going to start at least with walnut oil. I want the beauty of the wood to come out. Camphor has some natural color within the wood. Not only does it have these creamy colors, it's got some pretty orange browns or red browns, some other colors in it most of the time. I expect this is no different from what I've turned in the past. I'm excited to know that this is from Mark Silay. Mark Silay has joined in an internet wood turning group that I am a part of. I've been part of the group for a while now. We meet on Wednesday nights. I typically get through with my Wednesday night responsibilities at 30 to 45 minutes before this group starts. And so I've been able to join them, especially while COVID is going on. It's been a lot of fun. This is an international group. Headed up by Captain Eddie, who is based in Louisiana. You want to see you want to learn a lot about wood turning, go watch Captain Eddie's YouTube videos. He has got several hundred videos out on wood turning in various aspects. Sometimes it's just on one tool, sometimes it's on a technique, sometimes it's just information. I'm just doing some final 320 touch up by hand. Still some lines out here I want to get rid of. I'm going to back up a little bit. In fact, I'm going to go all the way back to 150 on this back side. There's some lines right just below the rim, and I don't want those there. Anyway, I started to tell you, this wood turning group, you are welcome to join. It costs nothing. It is absolutely free. We start at the informal meeting before the meeting starts. It begins at 7 o'clock Eastern time, 6 o'clock Central time, which Louisiana is on Central time. Our time here in Kentucky, Eastern time zone, 7 o'clock. That's the informal time. The actual meeting starts 7:30, between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Depends on how much is on the agenda for the night and how much talking is going on. And it goes until 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's 9 o'clock Central. The big reason for that is that because it's on Zoom, Captain Eddie it's been urged by his doctor and his wife that he stops by that time. Oh, I'm sorry, his doctor and management, that he stops at that time. And when he stops, the Zoom has to stop as well. That's our contract with Zoom, is that he has to be in place as the moderator. When he leaves, the meeting is over. And so about 9 o'clock, he's not real strict with it. Most people will sign out right at 9. But then there's half a dozen to a dozen folks, myself included most of the time, will hang out sometimes for 5-10 minutes. Sometimes it's more like 30 minutes. Depends on how tired Eddie is. He's had some health issues. Doing much, much better now. We're all so excited to have him back. Back on his feet, back in his shop. The name of the group is Worldwide Woodturners. Like I said, we meet on Zoom. It's a Zoom meeting. Real easy to get to. You don't need a meeting number. You don't need a password. Go to our website, worldwidewoodturners.org, O-R-G, worldwidewoodturners.org. Scroll down, look through the website, and you will see a tab. I do it on my phone, so it's right in the middle, down a little ways. It may be on there several times. As soon as I see it, it says go to meeting. I click on that button about 7 o'clock, 7:15, and it will connect me to the meeting. Sometimes it's not open yet. Sometimes it is open. But if you see the wheel, the thinking wheel, I call it, you know that it's working, that you are being connected, and you still are connected manually. It's not an automated system. You are connected manually, and so sometimes it takes a couple of minutes. Sometimes it's almost instantaneous. Depends on how busy, how many people are trying to get in at the same time. Around 7:15, 7:30, it's not usually too bad. Closer to 8 o'clock Eastern we get, the more people are trying to get in, and so sometimes it takes just a little bit longer. But you are welcome to come and observe, join in, especially if you're a turner. We love to see everybody's work. I have something to show almost every week. This last week, I got called out. I was prepared to show it anyway, but I was called out. Second or third person in the gallery time. We had a demonstration, a really good demonstration on carved feet. I'll be trying that here soon. But after that, we started our gallery time, and I was called out to show my flower bowl. You probably saw it. That was the last video I did, was my flower bowl for the YTCC challenge. He had seen the pictures that I put on YouTube and Instagram. He wanted to see that bowl during the meeting, so I showed it. I was prepared to show it. A lot of fun. We're having more and more people show their work for the very first time, and it really is exciting. We got some people who've been very shy about showing the work for no reason at all. They have excellent work. Some of it is very, very artistic. Some of it is worth seeing just for the finish. Oh my goodness. My finish is, I don't know, I've got a lot to learn, I think. Some people think I do it quite well, but I think I've got a lot to learn. All right, we're gonna blow this off. Excuse me, just a moment. A little bit of a dust storm. Give the camera just a... All right, let's see what we look like. Oh my. I think we sanded pretty well. We've gotten really nice chatoyance on the inside. I'm suspecting, yep, there's some on the outside as well. Right there, right in the end grain, right where it's supposed to be. I was going to finish that. I think I'll finish it all at one time. I'm going to use oil, and so I don't need to put finish on it right now. We'll get rearranged again. Camera's going to be okay, I believe. If it's not, you holler, right? Lock the spindle, take the bowl out. Bowl is quite light at this point. Put my jam chuck back in. Center point back in the tailstock. Now let's bring my pad in. Last time my little nub here that I was trying to get rid of broke a little too early. Don't pay attention to the pad. It's bigger than the bowl, and it's not centered. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about my bowl. We are compressing it. I think we're getting there. Oh yeah, we're getting there. Almost there. Slow it right down to 250. I think we're okay. Yep. Tool rest in here nice and tight. Raise it up just a touch. Remove this tenon. Nice and slow. Got a depression in there, that's what I want. Then change over to my spindle detail gouge. Take my diamond hone and just give this a little freshening up. Doesn't take much. I don't need much. Like I said, just freshening it up. This is where I broke the last nub. Actually, it wasn't either. I still need to sand this. I got to put my rings on here. I think I'll do that now before I forget it. Won't take much, sanding especially. We'll go through all the grits just like we have been. 100 grits to start with. Remember, we established this foot in the very beginning. My tendon was like in here, and all I've done is gone in from the foot to remove the tendon. So I've got a slight depression. It'll sit on this outer edge out here. Camphor is a hardwood, but it's not a hardwood. It's in the softer range. It's not as soft as, say, basswood. Definitely not as soft as balsam. Not nearly like, say, it's not oak or hickory, cherry. It is much harder than all of those. Turns beautifully. Even when it's super dry like this is, it does not get super hard. Some woods like pecan, they're hard when they're green, but as they dry, they get even harder. And I've heard a lot of turners call it pecan creep. I've heard turners say they will never turn pecan again. Personally, I love it, especially if it has started to spalt. Spalted pecan has some of the most beautiful grain. I did have a spalted pecan bowl. I'm not sure if I still own that bowl or not. If I do, it's packed up somewhere. I've got at least one box of bowls that have never been unpacked since we moved to this house. I lost track of them. I do not know where they are. Sometime in the future, we will be moving again. I know that. This is not our home. This was a provided home by the church where I have been the pastor of. I just recently resigned. Still there. I haven't left it yet. But because of that, I know I'll be moving sooner than later. Just putting my rings in. That again with the 320. But anyway, I will find those bowls. They will not be left in a box again. I've got bowls here at the house. I've got bowls in my office. Nice little flat spot right there on that foot. I'm just hitting this 320 one more time just to make sure I got all the little lines out. I think I did, but I want to be sure. I don't want those lines to show up here in a minute when I put some oil on it. Looking good, looking good. All right. Let me give another credit this method of taking the nub off, the tenon off, and the nub that results. This is not my, no wonder it didn't do what I wanted it to. I hit the wrong button. There we go. This is not my idea. I got this from Phil Anderson. Now I gotta say, he runs that thing up high like I just did, and my tool won't let me have that tool rest that high. There we go. That's got me right on center. Phil Anderson, Shady Acres Wood Shop. I've watched a lot of his videos. First couple times I saw him do this, I thought, what a nutcase. You can't do that. Well, you can. Now, if I get this down just a little more, sounds like it's coming loose. I started to say if I get this down a little more, I'll use some of his verbiage and you'll understand what's going on. Right now I'm just working this nub down very slowly. I'm not in a rush. This detail gouge is ground to a pretty fine point, so I can get down in here pretty close. One of these days I'm going to get some different cameras and some camera mounts so that I can have you right directly overhead. You can see exactly what I'm doing. Alright, what I'm going to do here, yeah, we're getting there now. Right hand is on the gouge, the bevel is against the flat of the bottom. I'm pressing in toward the headstock, letting the tip do the work. Right hand is holding the gouge, my left hand is on the stop button. As soon as that nub stops or breaks, we'll know we're done. There we go. I can even pull the, because I was going slow, I stopped immediately. That nub is still in place. In fact, I will not be surprised. I'm going to hold the bowl so it doesn't fall. But what's the nub going to do? That's what I thought. See the nub? There's the nub. That's all that was left. Broke off under control. I was only running at 500 RPMs. Could have slowed it down even more. But as you can see, there's very little there. I'm just going to hand sand that just a little bit. I'll put my mark in here. And I'll bring you back when I've got the first coat of oil on it. And there we have it. Camphor bowl, nice and thin. It's quarter, 3/8 there in that neighborhood. Thick from top to bottom. It measures 7 1/16 wide by I want to get it right for you. 1 5/8 tall. Not a big bowl. It was partially turned by Mark Silay. I would imagine he turned it wet and then set it back to dry. It eventually went to Elizabeth Ross, who is in Georgia, on the fringe of Atlanta, where Mark Silay lives. They are good friends. But in one of my packages of wood, she included this along with it. I had bought a good bit of wood at that time in rapid succession. This was just an extra that she sent me, and I really appreciate it. You can see some of the nice red brown that is there. This is where the bark, a little bit of bark was left. I'm glad that remained. I'm not sure what, this is probably the beginnings of a limb inclusion or something of that nature. You can see it on the inside as well right there. I'm not sure if that was just a little spot of burling or if it's an inclusion. I'm not sure, since I didn't see the original piece and there wasn't much in it it wasn't much left in the blank to give me much clue of what was there. So anyway, just a nice little camphor bowl, started by Mark Silay, finished by Doug Miller at Wood Spun Around. I appreciate you being with me. If you've enjoyed watching this, I would appreciate you hitting the like button on the front there beside where it says description and stuff. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, if you would subscribe, you can also hit the bell button over there by subscribe. If you hit all, it will notify you every time I upload a new video. I appreciate you being with me. Until the next time, I hope you can spin them around.